you all made it. Thanks for being here. I'm super fired up because we have a really cool episode today. We have got some really great people in this room. Really great people, very cool people from all over the country. My name is Mark Moyer, and this is the Clubroom presented by the Win Again Academy. And I'm going to introduce my two guests in a couple minutes. But before that, I just want to talk quickly about the mission of this academy, which is to offer and provide athletes and non-athletes as well all the tools needed to really be able to take their business or their career to a whole new level. That's my passion. That's what I'm all about. Whether it's involving networking, interviewing, how to find a job, how to increase your business, financial literacy, how to find life insurance, your mental health, brain performance. There's so many different things that I feel the average person, whether you're an athlete or not, you're just not getting it right now. So this is the kind of home that I want to have it in. But on top of that, really provide a place that everyone can just start meeting each other and really provide a community and a platform that, quite frankly, no one else is doing right now. You just can't find this out there. So without much of a further delay, I'd love to ask you all to consider joining as a Clubroom member. It's only $47 a month. That's $1.50 a day. That's it. I should make it more, but nope, right now, $47 a month gets you access to all the events for the entire month. And then $97 a month gets you access to the events, plus use of the room, plus, oh, you can get an autographed copy of, did I ever tell you I wrote a book? I did, Win Again. The job search strategy book for all athletes transitioning. And that's available on Amazon. Lots of plugs here, but I got to do it because I'm very passionate about what I do and all the folks that are helping me. A tremendous amount of appreciation for that. I'm also going to throw in a quick plug for a future sponsor of ours, Harlem Standard. Harlem Standard is, I'm going to let Joe be able to tell everybody about it afterwards. Joseph, sorry, Joey, Joe, Joseph. But it's a brand new bourbon and whiskey that's hailing out of and really sort of emerging from Harlem. And it's all part of the jazz scene and everything. Very cool product. Lots of other people in here that are going to be future sponsors. But the one I talk about right now is, of course, Mariel Miller. And Mariel Miller is the franchise advisor. She's not a franchise advisor. She's the franchise advisor. This young lady has been working for many years to become basically the preeminent person in that space. And what's really fantastic about her, she's super nice, super friendly, incredibly knowledgeable, an absolute treasure trove of knowledge, especially surrounding everything that anybody would ever want to know about owning a franchise, running a franchise, even thinking about it, etc. She's your go-to person. And look, the bottom line with her is she's connected hundreds and probably thousands of people into really a way that they have been able to grow a small business into big money and big success, and best of all, security for future generations in your family. So she'll tell you all about that. She's going to also bring in Ricardo Roman, but I don't want to take away all the juicy surprise. So I'm bringing in Mariel now, along with, and then we'll, I think, bring in Ricardo right after she introduces him. But the first question I have, Mariel, and you're in, sister. Is something I know that you want me to basically say. I'm going to say this sentence, and then you're going to tell me what it means.
Okay.
Dollars, these things is a commodity. What do you mean by that? What do I mean by that?
What do I mean by that? My newest quote. I'm trying to get good with social media, so you have to have these. What do they call them anyway? Like your face or some picture with the cutest thing to go viral. I'm not good at that though. I need a young person. So
okay, I was gonna say I didn't know you needed that. Okay.
So what I was sharing about that, the last conversation we were having, and I kind of honed in on that, is that where we live, where our company is, and where all I know since I fell into franchising in the 80s is the franchise landscape, this universe, right, of thousands and 5,000 companies that chose, this route, franchising, to scale national and international. And in our world, money's a commodity. And so people don't really know what that really means, right? So I thought we could flesh that out because I think it's interesting. But where is that true? Where is that true? Where money's a commodity, and it's true for us, it's true for me, and the people that we're working with. And And what we mean by that, and it really helps people understand this landscape. And it helps people understand why it is really fun, and it's also important, I think, to like start learning what's available as a strategy, whether it's a job or it's investment, whatever. But money's a commodity with us because there's probably three core reasons. If you're a professional to any degree, like even if you play one on television, professional, like Mark Moyer does. So if you're an average working person, considering, hey, what is going on over there? Maybe I should look and start, seeing what's in my backyard. Chances are we could help you look at a whole lot of ways you could finance a business. A lot of ways. There's lots of different ways. People don't get turned down. It's not hard to get money. There is money even through COVID. Yesterday, I was with a dear friend of mine who works with 200 banks, and they have their own bank. He has his own bank. And I went to see him up in Paramus because I wanted to know specifically the temperature today of SBA money for people we're helping with COVID and PPP and all that nonsense. And again, just like, no problem, there's money. So there isn't really any problem to get people help if they really want to go out and get something.
Well, we're jamming ahead though. That's a big step forward. But before we and we're going to bring Ricardo in a couple minutes. But we're going to cover a little bit of ground today. I don't want to cover too much in this platform right here, but instead we can also talk subsequently back at the tables. But number one, we're going to talk about really how to do a good search, how to really find. I mean, let's say I woke up one day and I won the lottery or did whatever, or actually. If I reach out to somebody like you, I want to know, well, geez, do I really want to get a Dunkin' or whatever it is, but you're going to be somebody and people in your business, so forth, that really help run a good search. So we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. And also there's plenty of misconceptions out there about that. Like I had no clue until I met you, Mariel, about how anybody got involved with these things. I just kind of thought, I don't even know how it happened. So that's that. But let me know when you want me to sneak Ricardo into the room, and then we can start chatting with him as well. Or do you want to wait and we're supposed to go on? What do you want to do?
I was going to finish my thought. No, I want it because actually Ricardo and joining our firm is kind of exciting. And this is like our first public to say, hey, he's part of the team, and it makes a lot of sense if you get this one misconception. So that's a really good point. Like, people get it wrong. So like the first thing is anybody could afford a good business. The second thing is, if you have more money, you're not a better candidate. You're not. So I have a guy who's worth $17 million. I couldn't get him anyone to talk to him. The franchises he wanted didn't want to talk to him. They just don't want that PE money. Some of them do, most of them don't. Why is that? Well, it's easy. Franchising works because it's local ownership and it's local management, and it's local passion, right? Local connections. So they don't want a PE guy. Like, they could do it themselves. So more money doesn't necessarily matter, right? But the most important thing is this. There's no correlation between the cost of the business, and maybe Frank Hearn, if he's on, he could even validate what he learned. There isn't really a correlation between the investment level and how much money you can make. That's why money's a commodity. So if it's not about money at all, people aren't like thrown out because they don't have enough money, or you lose your place in line because you have triple him. What is the commodity then? What is our currency that we play with? And the bottom line is the currency that we use is you, the person, believe it or not, is their drive, is their accomplishment, is their superpowers, it's their what we call transferable skills, it's their coachability. Mm-hmm. And in your environment, Mark, it can also be if you're a brand, if you have brand, right? So that trumps, no political statements, that trumps how much money you have. Sure, we got to financially qualify people, whatever, that's the easy part. And so if it boils down to that, the really, really good opportunities, like, they are too busy, really. They pay us our fees to keep people away from them. We represent you, we package you up, and we put you in front of the right things. And so then we need to know what you're made of, right? Wouldn't it be helpful if we understood you? Like, what are you good at? What aren't you good at? And that really is so real and so true that
Mhm.
the edge would be to truly understand high performance, right? People who can perform at these different
Got it.
levels. Everyone's a high performer at a certain thing. And so if you could click on Rick, I want to introduce Rick. So
Sure.
Ricardo Roman, Rick, and I met each other in 2000. And his background is very impressive. He has a military background of 20 plus years. And hi, Rick.
Hey,
And Rick's work was
I
with,
heard you guys were talking about me.
we were, curious how you might know. So Rick, which he can talk about later or maybe on the table. So his work was with the Joint Special Operations Command teams. And what he did was anything to do with counter. So like, think about like counter drug, right? Counter insurgents, counter terrorism. So he's not a guy, to play with, right? So put that down, Mark, so you can see what you're doing. So the thing about Rick that I think is really attractive is that his comfort level is in all this intelligence stuff, right? It's about super smart people doing super complicated things and interested in cutting edge. And so when he left military life and came over to civilian life, like, where do I find that? And he found that in human capital, human potential, and joined the firm that I also joined the year prior out of Princeton. And this was a company that studied specifically what made people good at stuff, what were people good at, how do you like connect the dots to an environment, a work environment where they would thrive. This makes so much sense, right? So we did all of that work. I left after 4.5 years to start my company. Rick, being a guy of full integrity and commitment, stayed until I think, let me look, yesterday. And 20 something years in the company. And not only did he specialize in really the depth and the sophistication of human competencies and all that work performance stuff, he also was the strategic partners guy. And he worked with all the associations and stuff. In particular, he ran the sports division. So in the sports division of this company, when would they use these kinds of instruments with pro athletes? He'll tell you that stuff. And so the marriage here, I don't want to scare him away saying that word, but joining the franchise advisor and allowing us to add that specialization to truly understand, right? Not just think about it, but really understand where people are going to succeed prior to doing a search, launching into a search that might be financially qualified and all this and all those other things they want, creates a complete picture where we don't waste anybody's time. That's kind of my little intro to Rick. So Rick, you want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, anything?
Let me lob a quick question over to you, Ricardo, if I could. Number one is, especially athletes, sometimes really don't know much what to do with their money at all. They tend to waste it on some things that they shouldn't. Their financial advisors may steer them directions they shouldn't be. But many of them do get involved with franchising, but unfortunately, some of them get bad advice in that area as well. I think one of the things I want to know is, whether it's a current athlete or someone who's recently retired, or they happen to have a fund sort of set up where they've got some extra spendable money. Do you have is there a percentage you recommend of somebody that let's say they've got X amount that they may have available that's somewhat liquid? And I understand that you don't need to necessarily put a huge amount down per location, that sort of thing. But I mean, when you talk to an athlete or a former athlete, what do you like to talk to them about?
Well, one of the things that in where I am and when I was working with athletes, that wasn't the type of conversation that I would have. My conversations with them and the people that we're dealing with was to really break this notion, this idea, this notion that they were special in any way. By that I mean that what made them special was really talent. But when it came down to the personality and drive and they were just as diverse as all of us. So the personality of the center is a different personality, let's say, of the point guard. And where in business, where a center thrive, and where in business a point guard would thrive. So those are two different individuals, even though they're both professional, let's say, basketball players. So there's a difference there in what they bring to the table. And unfortunately, let's say, for example, if you have someone that has no business managing or leading or buying a business, even if they have the capital, my recommendation will be to bring in a team that would help them do those things that are required in order for them to be successful. Because while they're, again, professional athletes, they might not have the competencies needed to be successful in a business.
Answer, because what's interesting is that most athletes have the tenacity, the grit. They're able to adapt, they're able to pivot, they're able to be managed and coached and all that sort of thing. But it doesn't necessarily guarantee that, you're right, that they can run a business. So obviously having one thing that JR Tolver, one of my previous guests, would always say is it's really critical to have a solid huddle around you. And the huddle, and he likes to call it the A-team, where you've got a strong accountant, an attorney, an advisor, an advocate. There's a couple other A's in there. I forgot what they are, but anteater. No, that's not one of them. But anyway, so I think that's a great answer, because sometimes some athletes may think they can do it on their own, and I think look. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that I cannot do on my own that I sometimes think I can when I run a business, and we're all like that. So I think that's fantastic advice. So sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, if I may, I mean, for the past 18 years at Caliber, I measure, let's say, probably 100, maybe thousands of people at all levels, sales, executives, and obviously sports. So I measure these personality drivers on people, and so not only in a vacuum, but we know that there are certain personality drivers that are congruent with business leadership. Similar to what we've seen in professional athletes. For example, competitiveness, autonomy, confidence, decision making, emotional intelligence, sociability, tenacity. All those are great. But are they really what makes them even greater and more important and more relevant is what's required in the job. So that's what makes them important. I shared a cute example with Mariel just when we were talking earlier, is that, most business owners, obviously, inherently, right, they have to sell. But what happens if you can't sell water in the Sahara? You're not going to be able to sell water in New York City, especially when you go head to head in competition. So even if you're a great athlete with lots of money, if you can't sell, then you're going to have to bring somebody that can do it for you. And knowing that and being able to recognize that in yourselves is critical to success in business.
That's a great answer. So that's fabulous. So Mariel, do me a favor and give me like the sort of quick, 30-second to minute version of, I think it's important for people may be wondering out there, well, who do you help? Like, who do you work with? Is it going to be the someone right out of college? Is it somebody who's 75 and retired? Is it somebody in between? Is it an executive professional? Or it doesn't matter if it's anybody type of person, depending on their mindset? I mean, who are the people you like to help with and work with?
So we were actually just talking about this in the room just right before we came on here. Years ago, when this whole advisor in the franchise realm sort of started back in, it was in the 80s, but it really took off in about 2000, and I got involved in 2004. It was really a service provided for providing the same advice that an executive coach or like your role in career coaching would give. And it was like, you're looking at jobs and you have an entrepreneurial spark, right? Whether you've always thought about it or you just don't want to make your boss rich anymore type of a mentality, or maybe you're unmanageable, you know, you don't like being told what to do, etc., or you're more creative, whatever. You might as well explore what your talent could do, your time and talent could do here. And all day, every day, we would just show people, as we do today, all of the different options against a career. And that kept us quite busy. And then about, I don't know, I'd say 10 years ago or so, it really started to change. And here's what happened. I think it was really the surge of technology. Franchising is in its 50th year of a really sophisticated, rock solid, durable, government regulated industry. It's a real deal thing, right? It's not an MLM that people question anymore, right? Although that's real too. So what happened with this, whatever happened in terms of the technology, the sophistication of the market, you know, real big money in Wall Street and real estate people and venture capitalists and private equity and normal executives who only had two options, real estate or the stock market, for any additional diversification to build wealth, right? So they are all saying, well, hold on a minute. If this can really be done, truly semi-absentee, meaning don't quit your job. If that's possible, we need to look at it too. And so that's when this particular role that we have here just kind of went through the roof, and a lot of people began to learn how to get good at it and stuff. And we have a lot more clients because the other solution is still there. If anyone is considering leaving a role or a job, or that they have to consider an alternative, and they realize that the career path might have some limitation to it, perhaps you're aging, I'm not sure, but if some of those conditions are true for you, you know, and you think maybe I could do something exciting again, you know, all day we work with those people. But the wealth building piece is now incredibly commonplace. And this is the quick reason why. Capital efficient businesses that are de-risked are the businesses that private equity want. Where do you find that? Where do you find an efficient business? Systems driven businesses. That's what a franchise is. De-risked, proven. That's what a franchise is. And so the language is similar on the highest level of requirements of an investment. It's just that everyone woke up. So we help anybody really at any level with a curiosity who has a need to want to explore their options for those two things.
You're muted.
Oh, I thought you said I was muted. I was like, that whole
no,
thing,
you got to do that again.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I'm muted.
Can you repeat everything you've just said the whole time? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, right, exactly. Sorry about that. No, real quick. So I'm going to ask both of you. Maybe I'll start with Ricardo. You know, I mean, not just the question of, you know, what problem do you solve or do you guys solve, but, you know, is there a problem that I might have or someone may have that you guys are coming in and saying, look, hey, this is how we can fix this. Here's a problem we can solve. You know, I'll start with you, Ricardo. What do you think?
You can throw that to Mariel, but
what problem do we solve? That's a good one. How do you see it from your side, from the competency, the people analysis side, maybe, or whatever side you want to?
Yeah, I mean the problem. Anybody that is struggling to be able to, especially succeed in this environment, a lot of it has to do. You know, there's this. If you notice, what I see is there's two things that are happening in any business, right? So that's making a difference, and that is technology and talent, right? All that work that used to be algorithmic and repetitive and all that stuff, that's gonna, you know, pretty much is going away, right? Because of technology. So now you're left with talent. So talent, then it comes back to what I was saying before, is that you have to be able to look at an individual and be able to determine whether that person has what it takes to be able to succeed in that particular role. So really outlining what the requirements are will give you a roadmap as to what type of individual is going to be successful in that particular role. So that's kind of if you look at it like that. And then if we talk about that in franchise terms and systems and in that type of business, then we have to look at congruency between who you are and what is a system that really plays to who you are, so you can be successful at that.
Mariel?
I don't know if I could trump that. That was good.
Oh, of
That was
course.
very good. So, well, you know, several different pieces. What I'm going to say a really quick answer, and then I'm going to ask if we could, if Frank is still here, because Frank and I have been working on a search for him for a good 10 months now. And I would love for him to answer, like, what problem do we solve? Because I'm just curious as someone who's gone through it. Here's what I think, though. First and foremost, beyond anything else, is time. You know, everyone is smart enough to figure it out. It's going to take you a long time to know what we know in 30 years doing it. Also, we spend a lot of time staying on trend across 30 markets, 40 markets, not anymore because of COVID, but, you know, now we focus on 12, but, you know, what's on trend, right? And what's coming in and what's going out and all this stuff. And so just like selecting a realtor, if you were going to buy a house, it is a huge time saver. The second thing is there is no multi-listing service. There's nowhere anyone could go to gather, like you're looking for a home, all of your opportunities at any given point. It's impossible for a lot of reasons. So the other thing we solve is access. It's about, believe it or not, it's about who you know. It's about knowing what's happening, you know, knowing what's coming, hopefully getting prepared so that you know how to qualify for a good thing by going through this process. And then, even if you don't want to do it today, you want to do it in 3 years, but you're prepared, you want someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, this is something you should probably look at for your hat in the ring, you know? So the preparation, I think, and allow us to be your eyes and your ears. You might never do anything, but you sure don't want to be the guy, what do they say, that the dog on the side of the road barking when the gravy train rolls by or something like that. But you don't want to be like, oh man, I missed another one, right? If you're the kind of person that keeps their options open, you know, that's an easy one. So it's really access.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest is, I think, you know, starting to work with Mariel this year, one of the biggest thing that I think we solve is the fact that, you know, people don't know what they don't know, right? So, for example, during my work now, and I do a lot of outreach, you know, to individuals, and I'm starting to work with executive groups, veteran organizations, athletes, professional and trade associations. This big thing about, you know, everyone wants to talk about the brands they know and they see every day. And I mean, it just drives me crazy. So I'm going to let Mariel comment on that, because I know she loves talking about this particular issue, which is actually something that's a problem, right? Because they already come with preconceived notions about this whole world of franchising. And this is the modern world, the next generation of franchises that we're dealing with. So you want to comment on that, Mariel?
I could briefly hit this one because it's one of my favorite topics. Like Mark had said, misunderstanding. So, you know, bigger is always better kind of thing. And if you really slow that thinking down, you'll come up with the same conclusion I do. So I'm metrics driven, believe it or not. Everything I do and I say, I love numbers behind me. My opinion is not important. Therefore, yours is not if you're my client. That's what I tell you, right? It's not important. If you think that business is going to work there, let's get to the numbers, right? And so you'll be very surprised to hear this. People think, oh, wow, there's another one. This has got, let me get in on that. Okay. There is no correlation, no statistically significant correlation between the closure ratio, the closed units. That means default, that means bankrupt, closure, okay? There's no, it's all tracked. There's no correlation between that number and whether or not you know it, the brand, but more importantly, that number and how many units they have or how long they've been franchising. So a system with 677 units, and everyone knows one because you eat there, will, in some cases, you know, have the same percentage of failure as The one you're currently looking at that has 2 locations, both in New Jersey. That's not going to work in Ohio. Well, you know what? Maybe a Dunkin' won't work there either. Those are not the things that indicate the risk profile of a business. It's not about size. And so that's why when people said, just today, a gentleman I was talking to I said, what have you looked at so far? And he said, well, I'm trying to get myself a Chick-fil-A. Well, first of all, they're not going to call you back. It's harder to get a Chick-fil-A than to get into Yale and Harvard and Princeton. That's true. Percentages, so this, people think that it means something, that there are many of them. It could mean something, but statistically, it does not mean you are in a less risky situation. Therefore, this is the cool thing, keep your mind open to brands that are younger, so you can play the game the right way, like the investors play it. Get in young with the right brand, cheaper, grow that thing and take the equity ride, with the brand, not after the fact. You don't want to buy an Orange Theory now for $1.5 million. You buy it at $300,000.
All right. So before I know we're going to have, couple things. Number one, if you've got a question for either my amazing guest, please put that in Q&A section, not in the chat, but in the Q&A section on the right side of that panel over there. Secondly is, I know that Mariel, you want to ask Frank a question, so we'll bring him in a minute so he can answer you directly and so forth. Cool. And then third of all, do me a favor and give me like the 15-second, 20-second. Do you have like and we're not going to run out and do this or whatever it is, but do you have like a sneak peek, like a favorite that you like, or one of your top 10 or something that, and then maybe just explain in sort of a few seconds why.
Do you mean a brand?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I always do. Like if I was talking to you or whomever, I certainly would things start percolating the more I get to know you. But every conversation, it'll be a different set, because you're telling me about you and about your budget and about your goals and about your reason. The business is a vehicle. What do you want it to do for you?
Okay, so I guess can I give you a scenario or not really, or what works best? Because I'm trying to get you to give something up here.
Absolutely.
All right. So my scenario is I'm obviously 38 years old. I've just wrapped up a nice little career in something. Maybe I retired from a sport maybe 8 or 10 years ago. I've kind of blown through a decent amount of money, but let's say for argument's sake, I have, maybe $1 million in equities, but then I've got, 200 or 300 grand that I've got liquid-ish and so forth. And I've heard my friends say they've got a couple of them are involved, but I really want to be cutting edge. I want to be a new person. I don't want to get a Dunkin'. I don't want to get a Pep Boys or whatever it is. I want to be on the cutting edge kind of a thing. And, I've heard that like gyms are struggling and some other things, especially post-COVID and that kind of stuff. So but maybe it makes sense to get into a gym now that it's so depressed. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just ask that. What do you think about that?
So I think we need about an hour and a half. And then I would tell you where we're going to go. And then once we agree, on the characteristics of the business, you gave me 3, I would probably want to get about 12 characteristics of a business. And then I'll spit them back to you. And I say, Mark, if I could find a business that has all these things to some degree or another, was that investable to you? And then once you say, yeah, then I'll start working on it. I'll have a little list, and the most important thing is we need to find out if they would like to come to your area, if it's available, and then we have a list to talk brands. However, because because we're doing this for the radio audience, I just have 2 questions real quick for this big scenario, and then I could tell you what I would say. Is this something that you're going to give your full-time effort to, or is this something that you're going to have a different career or leisure or something, and we only get about 10 to 20 hours a week?
Great question. So lately I've been really bored. I'm tired of playing golf. I'm tired of signing autographs. It just gets so tiring. Pictures all the time, parties, clubbing. So I really want to sink my teeth into it. And actually I'm willing to probably do 40, 50 hours a week. I mean, I want to dive into that first location, but if I can get it rolling where I feel like I can really run with it, then I might want to hire a team to really go with it from there.
Okay. So more important than how much money you have, which I usually don't even ask, doesn't really matter too much to me at this stage. Much more important than that is, what are you good at? What are you good at, Mark?
Apparently not technology. And and my modeling days are behind me, but I really like the outdoors, and I like to be wildlife and outdoor sports and activities, that kind of stuff.
So that's not necessarily what you're good at. So for
I'm
example,
good at
let me ask it to you this way. What are you going to bank on, bring over from your past life into a business where you know you're going to knock it out of the park?
Got it. So I'm very good at motivating people. I'm good at giving people advice. I'm good at showing people shortcuts around ways that they think that they've got a wall in front of them. I'll say, break through the wall instead of trying to climb over or go around it. And then there's, maybe I'm less good at things like, I don't know, maybe organization, and some people who know me will probably list a few others, but does that help?
Yes. Can I ask you 2 more questions?
Yeah.
Then the big reveal. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. If you and I were playing a game of Monopoly right now,
yeah.
Would you buy the railroads or no? Would you save for the boardwalk?
Oh, that's a great question. So if I could add all 4 railroads, yes.
Not all
time.
First
railroad.
2. Buy that. Waterworks.
I'm a play big, win big, risk big. So I'm going all the way around.
You're not buying?
Not the early ones now. That's low rent district. I don't care about that.
And lastly, I'd like you to visualize with me for just a second.
Sure.
So now this is your high school reunion, and you went to the gym and you look great, and you walk in with your beautiful wife or +1 on your arm. Okay. You're worth a couple $1 million right now, and you have a porta potty business. Would you wear the t-shirt? Would you wear the cap? Does that matter?
I would.
You would.
Oh yeah, I love that shit. I would. I think it's hilarious.
Literally.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, I'd probably wear the hat. I'm not a t-shirt guy, but a hat. I would absolutely wear the hat. Yeah.
Of the porta potty.
But not backwards though, frontwards.
So that's how you take an 1.5 hour consultation and you boil it down to the TV show version of it. But these are some of the characteristics that we need to flesh out, right? Your income, your status, your contribution to the community, all this other stuff, right? And then of course your risk tolerance, your risk profile, and that's why Monopoly. I should have learned that years ago. Play a game of Monopoly or hand of cards. I'll know what to show you, kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, like that.
So I would most likely, this is serious though, very seriously. Okay, depending. One of the things that's important is how big you want to play. You could play tiny, you could play minor, you could replace your executive income, you could be incredibly 7-figure net income business. We got to talk about that. So depending on that, that's also the last thing I need to know. But right now for you, I would show you something in the wellness category. So wellness is a fantastic, durable category, believe it or not, post-COVID, it lasted COVID. And it's because the millennial group is the largest group of buyers we've ever seen, bigger than the seniors, which is an incredible demo as well to buy a business in. So anyway, if you understand the millennials, which we do, and you know what they want, what they do, where they put their money, you'll know what to buy. Wellness is really, really hot right now. A well put together franchise in wellness is going to have tremendous margins. It's going to launch quick. The reason I chose that, couple things you said, but primarily because of the way you play Monopoly, really. It's not risky, but it feels that way because it's not, I don't know, lawn mowing. So we would probably start there. I would not go day spa or med spa, which by the way, also did well during COVID, believe it or not. I could show you how to learn that. I would stick with probably wellness, health, not fitness, but healthy living choices.
Example of a wellness. I mean, just give me a brand name or something. I don't even know what the hell that means. Wellness.
The last section. You would not know.
Right.
You would not.
Right, well, look, let's do this because we're running a little bit long, and I want to make sure we have time to get back to the tables and stuff. But I know you wanted to ask Frank, put him on the spot a little bit, so I'll bring him into the room. And the only reason I'm torturing him, this poor guy, is that he's a classmate of mine. I've known him for I think it's 78 years now. So maybe longer. So I'm going to bring him in. But Mariel, promise me, look at me in the eyes right now. Promise me, don't torture that poor guy, okay? Just ask him a super quick question. They can answer super quickly.
Your
and then
question.
then we'll go back to the tables after right after that.
Cool.
So, hey Frank, welcome to the big show here.
I don't see him. Is he here?
He's coming in. There he is.
Hi there.
All right. So what's the big question, Mariel? Let's do it.
Rick, thanks for playing. Really, thanks for playing. So I'm just curious, as someone who went through this process, honestly, what is the problem? Not that you had a problem, but if you did, what problem did we solve for you over the last 10 months? How do you answer that as a consumer, like that?
Well, the problem, I don't know if I use the word problem, but the idea of owning my own business was always something that was very attractive. I come from a lawyer background, banking lawyer and so forth, so I was really coming at it very differently. But one of the things that I saw in working with you was trying to figure out, okay, is this franchisor, is this really worthwhile? Is this not just the brand, but is the executive team going to put me in a position that's going to make me succeed? 9 times out of 10, those brands that you provided to me, I was impressed with the executive team that they were going to put me in a situation. It became more personal from my perspective, and that was I going to be able to devote the amount of time necessary to either be the owner operator of that particular franchise, or whether I was going to invest more and become a semi-absentee owner. And from looking at economics and doing pro formas, again, each one just didn't, from my perspective, allow me at this time to take the plunge. But it was not from being fully prepared by you, and also seeing great names and making that determination. I was fully informed with not just, again, my due diligence, but also the team that you provided to me. So the problem really, if you want to use that word, was me, not you.
Well, I guess it's like, how would you have gone about vetting? That's what we did. We vetted. How would you vet without, say, someone on this side, anyone, doing the work that we did with you, right?
I couldn't have done it. It's a non-starter. I couldn't have done it. All I did was talk to you, and you, just as you did with Mark, you asked questions to delve into what I really was looking for. And in retrospect, I didn't know what I was looking for. I said, I like that. I want to make millions. Okay. I want to own my own business, but it's a lot more drilling down that needed to be done. And you did that in our multiple phone conversations and our Zoom calls, more or less just asking those tough questions that allowed me to think. And then also I give it to you and you'd think more. You gave me certain brands. We looked at it. Maybe they didn't work. Maybe they did work, at least for the next round. But then also, I pivoted, because as I was educated by you, I pivoted as well. But the point is, I have no idea where I would look. If I said, I'm interested in wellness, I stop right there. I'm going to do an internet search and I'm going to look for a franchisor with wellness. There's no validation that I would get on my own. You guys at the Franchise Advisor actually validate. You do the thorough search. You come back and say, you know what? If you want to be interested in this wellness space, here are the top 3 brands you need to look at, whether it's established or whether they're just about to hit that, if you will, that up curve, that hockey stick. We're going to get you in before the brand takes off. That's something that I could never have done on my own, and only the Franchise Advisor could provide me with that information.
Holy crap, that was quite an endorsement, man. Man, checks in the mail.
It's about
That's how we roll.
Oh man. Well, listen, that was a great answer, Frank, obviously.
wow.
Well, so listen, we're bumping up on a little bit tardiness here, but let's do this. First of all, before I say another peep, Mariel, please tell everybody how they can, I mean, not just the people that are here, but also the people that will be watching this replay and so forth. What's the best way to reach you?
So you know what? The franchiseadvisor.com. You can hit the website and give us your info there. You could give us your info here. What I'll do is I'll also upload a document or 2 that talks about how we help people. And then the last thing is, there's a lot of ways to stay connected. You could become a fly on a wall forever. Get on our Brands on the Run, list. We just talk about brands that are running. We have a group on LinkedIn. There's a lot of ways to connect. So I'll give you our connection information The very, very best thing to do, talk to us, like Frank did, first time, 10 minutes. You know, if it's a good time to go further, we'll be happy to talk to you, talk to Rick. It's, you know what, it's really a very personal thing. You know, it's not like a newsletter kind of a business. It's like, talk to us, we'll help you. It's a lot of one-to-one, a lot of TLC, you know, happy to do it.
So the franchise advisor and Mariel Miller and Ricardo Roman, find them, everybody. They're everywhere, almost.
Share right now. How's that?
What are you doing right now?
I'll share something right now in the group chat. How's that?
Great. Excellent. But in the meantime, I want to thank you all. Thanks, Frank, for jumping in here. I put you on the spot a little bit, so thanks for doing that. Again, Mariel will be sending you a check for that endorsement. That's fantastic. Thank you. I don't know how big this check's going to be, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, but thanks again for being a part of this, all of you. I really appreciate it. And again, what we're trying to do here in the Win Again Academy, and specifically the Clubroom events here, is to really be able to show everybody a wide variety of really topics that they can learn a lot more about. And I can safely say that before I spoke to Mariel, just like what Frank just said, I had zero clue about all of this stuff, and I wouldn't have no idea how to find it. So I'm happy I found you, Mariel, along the way. I don't even know where it was, but it was somewhere, I think it was somewhere along the Garden State Parkway, but I'm not sure. Was it there? Exit, anyway, but no, I'm joking. But no, you're fabulous, and thanks for being here. And Rick, thank you for jumping on board too. Obviously, thanks for your service and all of that stuff. Frank, thanks for being here. And let's jump back to the table, and we'll continue all this there.
Thanks for letting us on the platform. Good luck with it. It is very hot, very cool.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
All right, thanks. Thanks all. We'll see you.
Thanks all.